What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Kyle's Big Board, presented by the Straight Facts Podcast, a series where we take a topic, we rank it, and we count it down. With the NBA season getting underway this week, we're going to summarize the entire offseason for you guys with this Big Board topic. That's the top 5 most improved NBA teams going into this season. And as we've been doing recently, we're bringing a guest onto the Big Boards to keep me in check. So I'm going to count these teams down, and my man James Jackson is here to tell me where I'm right and where I'm wrong. What's going on, James?
Nothing much, man. You seem to value my opinion when it comes to these big boards. You always hit the group chat. It's always like, James, you want to hop on YouTube? But you know I'm here, man. So
I
let's
know
do
you.
it.
Hey, we made some good ones so far. Let's keep it rolling,
I'm
right?
hyped. Let's do it. Let's do it.
All right, so let's get into it. Again, this is the most improved teams coming into the 2021-2022 season. And at number 5, I'm going to go with the Charlotte Hornets. Now, if you remember, this was a 4 seed halfway through the season last year. Ended up dropping to the 10 seed, got knocked out first round of the play-ins. But these are the reasons they've improved to me. First of all, a second-year LaMelo Ball sophomore jump. We saw him get better night after night last year, and now he has a whole offseason under his belt. I think that is itself is an improvement, and now I know they lost Devontae Graham, and they brought in Ish Smith at point guard, and I'll admit, Devontae Graham is better than Ish Smith. But if you remember last year, Devontae Graham was very mediocre, and he had a backup LaMelo Ball for most of the year. So a second-year LaMelo Ball with a backup Ish Smith, I would even say is an improvement, if not is a wash. But then other guys they just brought in have been great. I mean, at shooting guard, they got James Bouknight, moved Cody Martin to the third-string shooting guard behind, obviously, Terry Rozier and Bouknight. So that's an upgrade. At small forward, they brought in Kelly Oubre behind Gordon Hayward, who was also hurt last year and, could be another improvement, probably the reason they missed the playoffs. And at power forward, I mean, they have Miles Bridges and PJ Washington again, who, again, is the same as LaMelo. These are young guys. I think that's the overarching reason with the Hornets. I do think their roster improved slightly, but their team was very young. They've played together now for a decent amount of time. I think a lot of these guys are going to improve individually. And when the roster gets slightly better around that, this is looking like a big jump this year for the Hornets, and I think we can count them in as a or a playoff team.
I would absolutely love to see the Hornets as a playoff team. I mean, one, we got your guy, Terry Rozier over there.
Oh, yeah.
We got my guy, LaMelo Ball. Shout out Puma Fam, both of them on Puma Fam. This is no doubt one of the most exciting or intriguing teams coming into the NBA season. Absolutely no doubt. And I kind of agree with you about the improvement. Everyone besides Gordon Hayward, like they have a young core. So I think year after year, that's like the improvement to the team is just experience, maturity, chemistry building. Like that's what's going to have them improving year after year. So I got no problem with them being on the big board, man. If we get the Charlotte Hornets as a 4 or 5 seed again going into the playoffs, I think that just means we had a really entertaining NBA season.
Yeah, and I mean, you got to even Terry Rozier coming off of a career year. He's only 27, and he's like the 4th oldest guy on this team. And I don't think it's like a situation where they're too young. I think that was last year. I think we could see a big jump, but we'll move forward. We'll go to number 4, and that's the Miami Heat. And this one's pretty simple, right? They were the defending Eastern Conference champs, and they had a disappointing season, went into the playoffs the 6th seed, and got swept by the Bucks. And I know the Bucks went on to do what the Bucks went on to do, but that was one of only 2 sweeps in the playoffs all of last year. They upgraded the point guard position, picked up Kyle Lowry, and they also picked up some key role player pieces with experience, PJ Tucker and Markieff Morris. There's still going to be some questions about this team's depth, but like last year, I think the starting unit got much better than last year. I mean, you bring in Lowry, PJ Tucker probably starts, right? Who they have? Bam Adebayo, Jimmy Butler. I mean, I think this team improved a lot, and coming off of a disappointing season, they're going to be eager to prove something this year.
I mean, the additions they made really only aid to like the Miami Heat culture. A guy like Kyle Lowry, a do-it-all point guard. A guy like PJ Tucker, a do-it-all player. Like whatever you need him to do, he'll do it. So something like that to take kind of the edge pressure off of Jimmy Butler and maybe allow Jimmy Butler to focus more on just the offensive end and not expend so much energy. Like it's great. And it's vet moves, right? Like we know Eric Spoelstra, we know Pat Riley. We don't want young bucks. We move Kendrick Nunn out of here and, we get PJ Tucker and Kyle Lowry and Markieff Morris. We get vets. So it allows Tyler Hero to go to a lesser role, maybe shine in it, maybe just a straight 6-man out to get so much pressure in the starting lineup. It's a great all-around move for the Heat. To be honest, man, I might have had him higher up on this list.
Really?
I think I know probably who's sitting at number 1, but like they're up there with some of the best moves in the offseason to me.
Yeah, I think they were more focused in building a unit that could get it done this year.
Right.
We were coming off of the Tyler Hero heroics of the bubble. but that quickly didn't work out. I mean, they picked up Victor Oladipo. That was a good bench piece. He's going to be a bench piece again this year when healthy. I mean, I think this team got a lot more complete, is how I'd say about the Heat, and they shouldn't be like non-competitive again like they were last year.
No, I'm looking them to be, to be top seeds, to be at the top of the Eastern Conference.
Well, we'll move on to number 3, and that's the New York Knicks. And I think the Knicks made some really great moves this offseason, and it started with re-signing the right guys. Derrick Rose, Julius Randle, Alec Burks, Nerlens Noel, a big part of their core. And they did let 2 rotation guys go. That was Reggie Bullock and Elfrid Payton. But I wouldn't necessarily say that these guys were keys to their success, right? I think they were good pieces, but if you look at them, they're a point guard and a shooting guard. And you know who they just brought in? Kemba Walker and Evan Fournier,
buckets,
who I think are better point guards and shooting guards. So that's a big upgrade. And they also acquired Quentin Grimes in the draft, who I love. I'm not sure how much of an impact he'll make this year, but just another great offseason move that the Knicks made. And, I mean, I think you'd be delusional to think the Knicks didn't improve this offseason. And while they were the 4th seed last year, and maybe there won't be too much of a jump in terms of regular season, I think they've set themselves up to be like way more prepared to have some postseason success this year. And that's why I have them number 3 on the list.
That's it. You hit it right on the head, man. It's no longer just on Julius Randle when it comes down to crunch time. I got people who've been known to get buckets. One, Kemba back at MSG.
Yes, sir.
We know it's a show.
Yes, sir.
And then if Evan Fournier can show me shades of what he did to the U.S. in the Olympics, then they got an absolute bucket, because he was giving the U.S. buckets. If he can do that for the Knicks, then they're absolutely sitting pretty. But you maintain the vet leadership of Derrick Rose. You add Quentin Grimes to the depth. I mean, Mitch Robinson's still there.
Mitchell Robinson, I love. Yep.
You know what I mean? RJ Barrett had a quiet, good season last year for them. They got good guards and bunches over there. So
they got a lot of guys on that roster
who can do things. I love the Knicks roster, and let's just face it, basketball is at its best when the Knicks are good. I truly think that. So everyone's rooting for them.
Yep. I mean, we saw how well they did last year with a bunch of guys kind of thrown together. They play great defense, and now you have a more complete team. This team could take even a bigger jump, and I think this team would have beaten the Hawks last year in the first round. But we'll see this year.
Shout out to him.
And we'll move to number 2, and I think you might think I have these guys at number 1, but they're at number 2, and that's the Lakers. That's the Lakers coming in at number 2 of most.
The Unks getting together at the barbecue.
As most improved teams. Obviously, last year was a disappointment for them. 7 seed. First round bounce, right? But they're coming back with a lot of new faces, and I think it's really improved their team. I'll just rattle off the additions. Russell Westbrook, we know. Rajon Rondo, Wayne Ellington, Carmelo Anthony, Dwight Howard, Kendrick Nunn, Malik Monk, and there's even more. But those are kind of the big ones. And actually, one of the more underrated pickups that I like a lot that people aren't talking about with the Lakers is Kent Bazemore. I think Kent Bazemore has shown he can be a good rotational guy, and you get him around these guys, it's really good. But the improvement here comes with, one, the team's very deep now, and they were deep last year, but, Marcus All seems like he's kind of fallen off the edge. A lot of guys didn't work out, but adding that third superstar in Russell Westbrook is where we're going to really see the improvement on this roster and on this team. I think Russell Westbrook going to bring a lot more energy and a lot more success to the Lakers this year. I mean, obviously last year they had their issues. We knew they were better than what they finished, but I think they've gotten even better than that, and we could see back where they were in the championship 2 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, LeBron gets a clone of himself in Russell Westbrook, a less inefficient, LeBron James in Russell Westbrook. And then I think that allows LeBron to kind of take a passenger seat role, but allow the offense and the team to still run the way he wants it to be run at a tenacious level with Russ too. And I think that's real dangerous. Another low-key move that they made was grabbing Avery Bradley off waivers, which, how is Avery Bradley just sitting there for the Lakers to grab off of that? That kind of just boggles my mind, but great move by the Lakers to go and get him. And that all that does is grab you another vet piece. They're still the best defensive team in the league. That never went away. So that adds to that defensive identity as well. A solid vet who gave LeBron fits in the Eastern Conference Finals in 2017, 2018. Let's not forget. So yeah, man, the Lakers, it's funny because that's the sexy team, man. That's the number 1 team. So off the top of my head, there's one or two teams that you could say that's above them. So I'm eager
Yeah.
to see it, but the Lakers had to be on top of this list for sure.
Yeah, I mean, and then you even guys we didn't talk about, Talon Horton Tucker's coming back. I think the
Yeah,
depth here is insane, and
it's insane.
they're gonna need it. I mean, I see a
I
lot of
mean,
load management in this team's future. They got a
well,
lot of old guys over there.
and that's what you got them young guys for. And a
Yeah.
lot of back to backs to be sitting out. A lot of fifth game on a 5 game road trip is going to be sat out. But it's
Mm-hmm.
crazy because in normal rotation, this is a guy that and Kendrick Nunn, who was third and rookie of the year voting, who's not going to see the floor every night. There's just
Yeah.
going to be many nights where Kendrick Nunn doesn't play. That's
Mm-hmm.
how deep the Lakers are. But he's going to have his spots.
Yeah.
Everyone's got a purpose on this roster. I think that's really good.
Yep. So we're gonna get number one, and I know a lot of people probably thought the Lakers could be number one, but we are talking about most improved teams here. We're not talking
I
about the
like where
best
your head's
teams,
at. I
right?
like where
We're
your
not
head's
talking
at.
about the best teams. So number one to me is the Chicago Bulls.
Gotta be, right?
Yeah.
Gotta be.
They didn't even make the play-in tournament last season. They had a record of 31-41. So there was a lot of work to be done to this roster, and I think the moves they made addressed that. Key pickups were DeMar DeRozan, Lonzo Ball, Alex Caruso, Derrick Jones Jr., and I think they're a very sleeper top 10 starting unit heading into this year.
Yeah, man.
Lonzo at point, Zach LaVine and DeMar on the wings, Patrick Williams, a sophomore year Patrick Williams, by the way.
Yeah.
I've been talking about these sophomore year jumps. And at center, they got Nick Vucevic. I mean,
who I'm gonna include Nick Vooch in this. We only got a little bit of Nick Vooch last year, after the trade deadline. I'm gonna include Nick Vooch for all intents and purposes in this, which is aids to your point.
And that's when the Bulls started to win a couple more games, and they had a shot at the play-in tournament. And towards the second half of the year was the reason they were there. But I mean, I think there's a lot to look forward to if you're a Bulls fan. And I think what's really slept on in the NBA is having two strong starter caliber point guards. It gives you an edge in this league that a lot of teams just don't have. Of course, I'm referring to Kobe White behind Lonzo Ball, assuming Lonzo's the starter, right? Maybe Kobe White starts, but having two point guards is a huge edge. And while they did lose Lauri Markkanen and Garrett Temple, who played solid minutes for the Bulls last season, the guys they got in the new direction the new direction that this roster seems to be going surely makes up for those losses. And that's why I think the Chicago Bulls are the most improved NBA team going into this season.
I can't fault the logic in it for sure. From going outside the play-in tournament and maybe having one of the top starting units in the league with a little bit of bench step too, it is great. I mean, they just hats off to the Chicago Bulls front office when it looked like for a long time they were reluctant to make these kind of moves. And look, Nick Vooch and DeMar DeRozan are no blockbuster moves.
Yeah,
but that's some of the best veteran kind of play we've seen from Chicago probably since Jimmy Butler was there. And that's good that they're kind of not wasting time. You turn Chris Dunn and Lauri Markkanen into Lonzo Ball, Alex Caruso, Nick Vooch, and Patrick Williams and company. I'd say you made out pretty well in kind of the transactions that you're making. So now it's results time, right?
Yeah,
the hype is there. A lot of guys who get fresh starts. Alex Caruso is kind of coming off of the play he was able to do with the Lakers. Lonzo Ball kind of found his game again, a little resurgence with the Pelicans. Now it's time to kind of own who he is going into Chicago. And let's not forget, man, the guy who makes this team run, and that's Zach LaVine. I know it's not an addition, but now we're looking to all-star Zach LaVine. We're looking to maybe all-NBA Zach LaVine, superstar Zach LaVine. He's right there, and this is the year to kind of make that jump, which is going to go into the improvement category.
Yeah, and that's where I think the Bulls headed in the right direction. They saw what they had in Zach LaVine, saw him maybe, starting to get his foot out of the door, and they're like, hey, how about we bring the team to you?
Yeah.
Right? And you mentioned Lonzo Ball. I think he's going to have a great season as well.
Yeah,
but that is it for this episode of Kyle's Big Board presented by the Straight Facts Podcast. It was a great one. It always is. Thanks to my man.
Back, man.
Yes, sir. Thanks to my man James Jackson for hopping on with me. And let me know in the comment sections if you guys agree with me. And if not, what other teams do you think are going to make a jump and deserve to be on my list? As always, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and check out the other content we have here at Straight Facts. But for my man James Jackson, I'm Kyle Sirik. I hope you're all staying safe, staying healthy, and of course, getting buckets. We'll see you guys next time.